TSN's Motoring 94 is brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil. And Midas. For brake, exhaust, suspension, and steering service, trust your car to Midas.
This week, Motoring 94 is back at Stark's Auto Parts in Toronto. Now, along with domestic parts, this is one of North America's biggest sources of European luxury body parts. Now, this particular day is a dream come true for bargain hunters, and we'll tell you more about that later on. But first, we're going to begin a two-part series on the tow truck industry. It's an industry that has gone through many changes over the years, and some believe those changes have not benefited motorists. But this week, we'll begin by looking at a business that manufactures tow trucks, and it's flourishing despite recessionary times.
For many years, Harold Markle sold cars in Cambridge, Ontario for a General Motors dealership, and he was good at it, but he was also bored. So when a friend put his local service station up for sale, Harold seized the opportunity and bought it, and his career in the towing industry had begun.
At that time, it had one old tow truck, and my interest wasn't in towing at that time. It was more in repairing cars and so on, but it was only a matter of 2 or 3 months, and I found a real interest in the towing. I got very interested in the emergency work and the excitement that goes with it, the opportunity to make extra money after hours and so on, and we sort of grew from there.
But after 20 years in the towing business, Harold decided it was time to stop towing and build the trucks.
When I looked at this business, my vision was that I would just go out day by day, call on towers, sell them a truck, get someone else to build it, and go on with it, and keep a real clean 1 or 2 people in the company, and wouldn't have a lot of employees and all the hassles I had in the service station. But so the first one, I had my cousin. He has a potato farm, and he has a storage area, lots of room. He needed a little extra work, so we took the chassis and the wrecker out there, and he and a couple of his helpers under my supervision put the truck together right there in the potato storage. But it wasn't long till we realized that we had to get involved directly and do it, and we rented a small facility and started from there doing it on our own.
Today, Canadian Towing Equipment is building and selling 20 trucks a month for an average price of $50,000.
When we started this business, the number one thing was to cut every cost wherever we could cut it, without compromising quality. I mean, we made sure that if we could save a nickel, if we could do without something, we did without it. And very similar to what I've seen a lot of successful towing companies go through. We also are absolutely obsessed with turning out the best possible product that we can. We do not physically have enough time to call on all the towers in the province. It's impossible. So we have to rely on our customers to make sure that we put out a good product and they spread the word.
Here it is here.
We are not in the towing business. We are not in the truck sales business. We're not doing tailgate lifts. We're not selling boats or used cars. We are making tow trucks and making them damn good and making sure that we stay focused on that. And again, I see that in the community too. People that have decided that a certain product is going to be their niche and stay focused on that are the winners. And that's, I would say that is one of the biggest things that's helped us succeed in this market. Plus, we make sure that we handle good products. I mean, we take a chassis and join our equipment to it, and we've got to make sure that all the products that we're using to make that marriage together to come to the final tow truck are all good products. The Kenworth with the Vulcan 4545 on out there, that's a $225,000 truck. It has every gadget that you would find even in a Cadillac or a Lincoln. It has air conditioning, cruise control, power windows, power mirrors. The actual crane itself is capable of recovering vehicles up to 150,000 pounds that could be mired down in the mud. It can do it on its own. That one truck has the capability of doing that. I think that if we, looking at the towing industry where it's been up until maybe 10 years ago, it's been very much in its infancy. It's been an industry that often was a tag-on to another business, such as a auto wrecking yard or salvage yard, a body shop, a car dealership, and so on. It wasn't really an industry of its own. There was a few people that were backyard towers and so on. There were some serious towers, but the majority of it was an add-on to some other business. Because of the sophistication of the equipment that's come along and the challenges of towing the new types of cars, it's turned into an industry of its own. The first thing I would suggest that when you buy a new car, you take out your owner's manual and you go to the section in it, and nearly all of the cars made today in North America, European, and Japan have a section in there with towing instructions. And you should perhaps familiarize yourself with what the manufacturer is looking for. In fact, some of them even have pictures of what type of tow truck, what style of lift that they would like you to use. And so before it happens, I would recommend that you take the time to read your owner's manual so you're prepared when something happens.
Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
This week on Test Drive, we look at the 1994 F250. Now, believe it or not, the F-Series pickup truck has been the #1 truck in North America for the last 16 years.
Not only has the F-Series been the #1 truck in North America, it's also been the #1 vehicle outselling Ford's own Taurus. Now, that's not bad for a vehicle aimed at such a specific market. The big news for 94 is the addition of a new 7.3-litre V8 direct injection turbocharged diesel engine. This new engine offers power to spare. Horsepower is rated at 210, while torque is rated at an unbelievable 425 pounds-feet of torque. Run that power through the standard 5-speed manual box, and you end up with a veritable race car. Acceleration tests place this pickup in the 9-second range to the 100k mark. If you gun this thing off the line, you get an enormous amount of axle tramp. This is something you usually associate with muscle cars of old. Not too shabby when you consider that the gross combined weight rating is almost 15,000 pounds. Slip the transfer case into 4-wheel drive and tackling some steep hills becomes academic. The low-end power has to be experienced to be believed. As remarkable as all that is, the neat part about this engine is that unlike conventional diesels, this one will start at temperatures as low as 29 degrees below. The reason for this is the manner in which the fuel injectors are triggered. Traditional diesel engines use either an overhead cam or a pump to trigger injection. This direct injection motor uses oil-regulated injection. This gives the engine infinitely variable injection points. For cold starts, they advance the injection point. Once running, the ECM retards the injection point to control emissions. In other words, you enjoy the best of both worlds.
You know, it wasn't so long ago that anybody that was driving a pickup truck like this F-Series was driving a vehicle that didn't even meet basic passenger car safety regulations. Well, at long last, the penny has dropped because now you've got third high-mounted stop lamps, impact beams in the side doors, the odd airbag, and even ABS. Well, it's about time that the powers that be realized that people that drive commercial vehicles have valuable lives as well.
The suspension consists of twin traction beams up front and a solid axle in back with leaf springs at all 4 corners. The F250 comes with heavy-duty gas pressurized shocks. On the road, the ride is stiff. Off-road, it verges on uncomfortable. Now, while I realise that the spring rates must be stiff enough to accommodate the payload, I would not opt for this package unless the pickup is to be used for heavy-duty work on a daily basis. The F150 model would suffice for me.
This F-250 is a big truck. The hood line sits about the same height off the ground as the average roof line of a small car. Now that obviously makes getting to the engine very difficult. What Ford should have done, instead of putting these little Mickey Mouse plastic things in these holes on either side of the front license plate, put on a non-slip surface, then the consumer can get into the engine. Never mind the consumer, what about the mechanic?
During some pylon testing, the stiff nature of the suspension did allow the truck to run the course in fine fashion. The huge 235 all-terrain tyres stick to the tarmac very well, while off-road or on the building site they provide the grip required to negotiate the sticky stuff. Stopping power is provided by a disc drum setup with anti-lock feature on the rear brakes only. During the brake test we required 121 feet to stop from 80k, despite having only rear ABS, the stops were straight and well controlled. The interior has a clean, modern appearance with a 40-20-40 front bench seat. The 20 portion folds down to reveal dual cup holders and a storage bin. The seats themselves are form-fitting and come complete with pneumatic lumbar supports. The radio and heater controls sit a long way from the driver, making them awkward to operate. Compounding the problem is the complex nature of the radio. Far too many buttons that are far too close together, a common Ford faux pas. The dash itself is complete in every respect and very easy to read. The XLT package adds some nice touches. Power locks, windows, mirrors, as well as an extra power point for the cell phone. Other items worthy of note are the box liner and twin fuel tanks with a button on the dash to switch between them.
Well, that's it for this week's test drive. These F-Series trucks are truly versatile. Skid pad, off-roading, picking people up that are stranded on the highway, you name it, there's a truck for it. And the real nice part, the 7.3-litre direct injection diesel is the cat's meow.
Among the many new cars and trucks on display at this year's New York Auto Show were some interesting concept vehicles.
Concept vehicle you see here, the XU1, is produced by Isuzu in our California design studio. And the purpose of it is, obviously with a concept vehicle, we like to know from our marketplace where we're going in the sport utility field. So by building this particular vehicle and taking it out to the public and getting comments and doing clinics, we can see the reaction from the public and therefore make decisions for our future models. If the body panel configuration stuff is producible for the market price that we determine, obviously those are considerations, but basically that size, that basic shape could be done in a production vehicle.
Meet the Accent. This is going to replace the Hyundai Excel in the lineup. While this version is still in its concept stage, the model that will come to market sometime in 1995 will change very little. Also on display at the show was the totally new Ford Contour, a car that will replace the Tempo in the Ford lineup.
Well, the Contour is an all-new world car that Ford Motor Company is just introducing in the United States and Canada. Actually, will be introduced this fall in both of those countries. Everything on the vehicle is really new. It's a new platform. It's a new suspension system. It's got two all-new engines. It's got new transmissions, manual and automatic. So everything, Ford Motor Company went around the world to get our technology wherever it was, whether it might have been in Oakville or it might have been in Berlin or California. And we got everything that we do and then tried to build a car with all the latest technology. It's got all the latest safety. It's got everything that we could put together. And we call it Contour.
As for the competition, the favorites are Pontiac Grand Am, Nissan Altima, and Mazda 626 Chronos.
You know, we're after them with everything that we can right now, and now that our quality is as good or better than theirs, then we think it's time to go after. So yeah, they've been buying in that segment, I think mainly because we didn't have an entry there. So we'll try to give the American and the Canadian public a choice of what they really would like.
We're back at the auto wrecking yard, and as you're about to see, these guys are getting a bargain of a lifetime here at Stark's Auto Parts. All right.
Well, we have the $45 special Saturday, which is All customers entering the yard must pay $45 plus the GST to enter, and any parts that they can physically carry out by themselves is theirs for free. We try to run it 3-4 times a year until the cold weather comes. On a day like today, it's mainly people that do work on their own cars, and they're looking for bargains. They can carry out, anywhere up to $600, $700, $800 worth of parts for $45. So it's they get a great deal.
Are you amazed? Do they surprise you sometimes? Or would they...
Some people do, yeah. Some people carry out stuff at 300-400 pounds over their shoulders or on their necks, strung up to their waists and legs. Oh, it's crazy. It's funny.
So tell me, what do you hope to get out of here? Like, what are you getting so far?
Basically the 4 glass, the 2 side mirrors, the 2 headlights, probably the radiator if I can, the brake booster, and we're trying to get the heads, but the car's too low right now.
Now you can take them off the car, but is the biggest challenge figuring out how you alone can take as much as possible?
Well, there's 2 of us. Yeah. I took the glass out. I'm going to tape up the glass and just bring the glass. A lot of stuff can basically fit in that bag. Put that around my shoulder, so.
What do you think all this is worth?
Well, I've had my back glass broken a couple of times, and it's 210. So there's 4 there. So that's 8 and a bit right there. These are worth about 110, I think, or more. I'm not sure about these.
So this is a real bargain.
Yeah, should come out with at least $1,000 worth of stuff.
For $45. Man, good luck.
Thanks.
The last sale we had, it was a rainy day, and one guy walked out with a complete front end. I believe it was off a Buick, and that was no easy feat, believe me. And it was quite humorous, but he got about $1,000 worth of parts there. So he had a real score.
How's your head? Oh, yeah?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You gonna make it?
Sure.
Likes the glass.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. You've been very helpful.
Oh, well, just came out today to get some parts here. Drive a little golf and just want to keep her running for another year. So want to pick up a couple, headlights, looking for some tires and maybe a water pump if we can get in there.
So this is a real deal.
Oh, sure is. Telling me, $45 can't go wrong. I mean, buying any of these parts brand new, it set me off a lot more than that. So, and it's a free-for-all here. I mean, got as much as I want, so it's going to be great.
I'm doing all the work. I'm the father. You're the father? I'm the father. He's the kid. I'm doing the work. He's getting all the benefit.
Well, who's going to carry all this out?
Yeah.
Dad? No.
Each person must carry their own parts, but the odd pair were carrying out their own parts, so we try to stop them. But once they got this far, we said the heck with it, so we let them go.
Anybody ever been injured?
Not that we've seen. We saw one guy fall when he got to the gate last time, but he was okay. I think he was just tired.
Hello. Give me this one, small one. Put it on this hand.
The other hand.
There you go.
Let's cross.
Good luck.
Finally. Let's give the man a hand here. Hey.
That's it. Okay, fine. That's good. You okay now? Looking on here.
Was it worth it?
Oh, sure it's worth it. Oh, yeah, sure it's worth. Oh, yeah. This is got $100 for $40. 45 is worth. Oh, yeah.
You're going to give him a massage now, eh?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to give him massage.
Untie a yellow ribbon round the old tree. It's a sharp parts car. Yes, it belongs to me. Have a great day.
Yeah!
Well, Bobby Cortola is here. He's a singer back in the 60s, as you know, and he was just watching. He's friends of ours, and he was watching, and he was singing and doing a little entertainment for the customers as they're struggling.
Hey, Brad, I'm just having a ball. We're hanging out at the parts yard. You see, Lou and Ryan are good friends of mine here at Stark's Auto Parts, and we're just hanging out. This is the sale of the century. I even wrote a little song about it. And if you're a car nut like me, well, this is a big day. Here goes. Follow the yellow ribbon to the parts yard and you'll see Stark's Auto Parts sale, $45 plus GST. You're allowed to take all you can carry. Take off the bolts and nuts, you get the very best stuff. It's just about for free. Stark's Auto Parts sale, yes, it's the sale of the century. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum. So come on down. Next, it's the Imperial Room. We're going to hit the Imperial Room at the Royal Yard.
Our Midas tip of the week concerns fuses. Now, not so many years ago, we'd been laying on the floor trying to look up under the dash to find the fuse panel, but many of today's vehicles have the fuses in the glove box or somewhere high on the dash in a much more accessible location. A few cars even have them out under the hood. But in any case, you can consult your owner's manual for the location and types of fuses. Now, I'm using a 12-volt test light to probe these fuses and check for bad ones. A bad one would show hot on one side and dead when you probe the other side. Now, what I would suggest to you is to make a trial run of these, of changing these fuses to familiarize yourself with a good and bad looking fuse. You can see the fuse ribbon visible through the side and check it for any voids or breaks that would indicate a bad fuse. And also familiarize yourself with any tools required. In this case, the car comes with a little puller to help you grasp the fuse and pull it out. Now, the fuses are also color-coded according to amperage, and the amperage is usually marked on them. Make sure you use the correct fuse for the application, and always carry spares. That's your Midas tip of the week.
Me defending the car insurance industry? Well, if that isn't enough to make you stick around for Kenzie's Corner, I don't know what is.
Kenzie's Corner with Jim Kenzie.
A new computerized information system is providing the rationale for insurance companies to increase premiums on hot cars. I'm not just talking sports cars here, but cars that are popular with car thieves. The Ford Mustang GT, for example, faces a rate increase of up to 70% because it's #1 on the theft hit parade. Now, the insurance industry has to cover these losses, so I guess there is some justification for the rate premium increases. Imagine me defending the car insurance industry. What's the world coming to? But wait just a minute here. Aren't we blaming the victim? Just because our governments, our court system, and our police departments can't come to grips with car theft, are we law-abiding citizens supposed to pay the freight? And what about cars like this having more crashes? Well, maybe they do, but they don't have them by themselves. There's a driver behind the wheel. Are we supposed to believe that some mild-mannered accountant undergoes a Jekyll and Hyde transformation when he slips behind the wheel of a car like this? That somehow his driving behavior is different than when he's driving the family station wagon? Well, statistics show that a disproportionate percentage of car crashes are caused by a small minority of drivers with sociopathic personalities. These people are, as the expression goes, known to the police because they have long traffic and criminal records. They also happen to be attracted to fast, powerful cars. But putting all owners of sports cars into this same basket is like charging every woman who wears a short skirt with prostitution just because most prostitutes wear short skirts. It's a presumption of guilt, not a presumption of innocence, and that's what our system of alleged justice is supposed to be based upon. It's up to the courts, not the insurance industry, to rectify this situation. I'm Jim Kenzie.
This is one half of a cylinder head out of a Subaru vehicle. These guys are working on the other half, and they tell me that each one of these is worth $350 new, and they're getting it for the entrance fee of $45. Now that's a bargain. Well, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week for more stories about cars, tow trucks, Part 2, and the people who drive them.
TSN's Motoring 94 has been brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil. And Midas. For brake, exhaust, suspension, and steering service, trust your car to Midas.
Rupert. You gotta do it one at a time. One at a time. No teaming. He's got transmission. Oh, he's got BMW transmission. He's got lots of stuff. You gotta do it one at a time, Rupert.
I got my money's worth anyway.